Welcome to Tower Talk Business Radio, where we bring you conversations with the top business minds on Long Island and around the nation every week. Featuring expert consultants and small business owners who have found success but are also willing to share their top tips, failures, and give gritty, matter-of-fact advice based on their firsthand experience. Now, let's get down to business on Tower Talk Business Radio on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Hello and welcome to Tower Talk Business Radio. My name is Ray Schwetz, and we're focused on being the premier resource for business and entrepreneurship. We bring you weekly business advice, tips, tools, and services that help you grow your business. Plus, we interview the top business leaders in the industry. And today I'm very excited because we have a good friend of mine here. I'm very excited to introduce you to Jim LaSalle. Jim is a dynamic, he's an innovative person, published author, podcaster, and entrepreneur, as well as the owner of J Lasalle Consulting and JLasalle.com. He's here to talk with us today about a really cool, exciting, and very helpful app. So very excited to have him here today. He's also an outsourced CMO to mid-market companies. Jim, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Ray.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, both personally and professionally.
Well, I'm originally a Brooklyn boy, moved out to Long Island through marriage. I'm actually going to be married 23 years come this March. And professionally, I've been in sales. First years out of school, worked at ADP, learned some sales skills. Then went into the Yellow Page world, sales again. Definitely picked up some leadership skills, moved up, managed the office as, I was there probably about 8 years or so. And then a partner of mine, or friend of mine, we started a company called Driven Local, an internet advertising company back in 2008. And then over time, we grew that to about 80 employees. We sold it back in 2017 and had to take a year off. That's when I wrote Unified Marketing Strategy and, had to keep busy. And and now I have my new internet advertising company, Keen Insights. I do some fractional CMO work, like you mentioned. I do some marketing consulting, and we've gotten into more advanced app development and AI stuff of late. So, just keep growing and going.
Cool. Well, you mentioned the book. I would like to just kind of flesh out what the book is about. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Unified Marketing Strategy is how a company would bridge their advertising with their sales team and then their customer support. So you define your current state where you are versus your desired state where you want to be. And then you put together a marketing plan based off of where you want to get to. And then you put the messaging together and everything else. And then what you want to do is you really want to coordinate that with your sales team so that they're consistent with the messaging that's coming out from your advertising, so the customer is being reinforced all the way through. And then once they onboard the customer, your customer support team wants to provide that experience, the customer experience that you want to manage and go through. So putting all of those things together is really what a unified marketing strategy would be.
Yeah, and I think that's such an important concept because many times I've worked for many organizations where the sales and marketing team they're kind of at odds with each other. And you really have to be lock in step. You really have to be harmonious to be successful. So good stuff. So you also describe yourself as a person who is focused on the concept of, focusing on perfection. And you use the word Kaizen. And I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I have had another guest previously who talked about Kaizen, and I think it's such an important concept. So I'd like you to talk a little bit about what Kaizen is.
Well, it's a Japanese term. Kaizen is a Japanese term from Kai, meaning good, and Zen. Kai meaning change and Zen meaning good. There's no direct correlation or translation. It's the constant striving for perfection. And I came across that word, probably about 20 years ago in reading, one of the small little books by this guy named Price Pritchett. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And I kind of, the word just kind of reverberated when I was like, yes, that's kind of what you want to do. You always want to evolve. You always want to get better. And, I made that one of the core values of my company. And I try to interview and hire people based on how I feel they are looking to improve themselves, not just professionally, but, physically. Do you work out? Do you stay fit? Do you read regularly? Because once you get out of school, you're going to grow and change based off of the books that you read and the people that you meet. So, as long as you're looking to do that, and even being a better dad, being a better husband, and all that. So always try to get better, a little bit every day.
Yeah, I think that's great. And so Tell me a little bit about your company. Tell me a little bit about some of the best marketing practices that you put in place for yourself and for your clients.
Well, the best practice is really understanding the business, right? The business that you're trying to represent. So everybody thinks their business is different, but I think most businesses are the same, right? They all have a product or service that they're selling, and they're looking to put it in front of their target market. So as long as you understand what that business does and what their potential customer needs, then you can put together a strategy. So as far as best practice, you want to understand the target audience of your customer. I would understand the target market of my customers, if that makes sense. And then I can put together a strategy and hit the pain points that are relevant to those customers. So that's what you have to really understand.
Gotcha. Now, how do people seek you out? Do they seek you out when they're starting a company and they're looking to market, when they're looking to grow? How do people tend to look for you?
Well, people I've come across some new businesses for sure. And, when you have a new business, you're kind of stuck with cash and you want to have clients, right? It's a chicken and egg. Do you want to spend money on advertising or do you want to get clients on? You kind of need both. But they tend to come to me when they can't accomplish what they want without the proper help. So they may try to do things on their own and, fail. Sometimes I guess they succeed. But eventually you realize as a business owner that you can't do everything yourself. And you have to either hire people or you have to outsource. And some of the benefits of outsourcing to a company like ours would be where we have a team of people that are individually specialized in different areas, whether it's SEO or paid search or content marketing or what have you, as opposed to you having to hire 3 people or one person who would be a jack of all trades and they're really not going to do a great job, but at least they'll be in the office. But it's typically better to have people that know what they're doing. So they tend to find us that way.
Gotcha. Now, is there one particular thing that is most important when it comes to marketing? Are there any specific pillars? What are the things that a business owner really needs to focus on when they're marketing their business?
The easiest thing, the immediate gratification, would be putting yourself in front of people who are already looking for what you do. Mm-hmm. So that bottom of the marketing funnel action, people already looking for your business and they don't know where to get that service. So they may know that they need, pest control or whatever, and they just don't have the experience with the company. So they would go and do a Google search or whatever. Back in the day, it'd be Yellow Pages, right? Yellow Pages would be the first search engine. That's one of the things that I talk about in my presentation when trying to explain creative versus direct advertising. But yeah, I would say capitalize on the low-hanging fruit because there are people already looking for what you do. And then from there, you can get into more complex advertising strategies, but you might as well make the phone ring.
Yeah, that's the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the misconceptions about marketing from your standpoint?
I think people think that if they're busy, they shouldn't spend money on advertising. And then they hit a point where, things kind of ebb and flow. And then they're not busy. And then they have to do advertising, but they don't have the money coming in to do it. So it's like, I try to tell people, feed the machine. When things are good, expand, because it's going to slow down and you want to open up that spigot where you can get more stuff coming in. So, when you think you don't need it or that things are just too busy, that's when you should probably do a little bit more. I'm not saying a lot, but, a little bit more.
And that's why it makes sense to have a professional or a professional service work on that aspect for you because you're busy doing the sales, which is the most important thing. And then marketing will continue those sales coming.
Yeah, we always try to be proactive in making suggestions to our customers, whether it is going off of impression share. So if you're doing paid search and you're spending, $5,000 a month and your impression share is 50%, you can double that, right? So you can get you can increase that. And then you might not want to get some of those, but at the same time, maybe you want to start doing some other things like remarketing and moving up that buying funnel where you have people and you can start doing, content marketing and putting yourself in front of people who don't need your services right now to do some branding, right? We talked about the low-hanging fruit and the direct advertising before, where you're putting your message in front of people that need your service and they don't know where to get it. Now you're putting your message in front of people who don't need it in the hopes that when they do, they remember you. So it's kind of like building on that other thing. And that's the best time to do that is when you're busy.
Now, for me, the thing that resonates most when I'm working with a business is their story and how I might relate to it. Are there stories that, some of the businesses you've worked with, how you've worked with them and how your work has made an impact for them? Can you share that with us?
Oh, so many. I have my favorite clients, certainly the ones that I learned from also. I had a customer, this is actually a funny story. His family used to own a printing business, and it wasn't doing great, but it was a printing business, and this is what they did. And one day this person came in, and they had this idea for this game, and they put together a contract for them. Like, if you can give me, like 25 of these for free, and we end up doing something with this, here's the contract for all of the instruction manuals for this game, forever. And the name of the game was Trivial Pursuit. So, his family ended up, booming from, or that business ended up booming from there. They got into pharmaceutical printing and other things, and then they ended up selling that company. And then he's one of those guys, he's just like a big personality. And he went to, now this is before I knew him, but I was introduced to him at this event and told him what I was doing. And he was like, oh, maybe I'm looking to do this radio rental company, like, two-way Nextels for like security events and stuff like that. And they tried to do it, but it was right around the time that the smartphones were coming out. So the Nextels kind of went away, right. And they really weren't getting a lot of business. And he went to this charity event for Christmas, and he won an iPad, like one of the first generation iPads. So this is when iPads were not very, very popular.
And they were very expensive.
Yeah. So he has it on his shelf in his office. And when we were doing the advertising for him, we record the calls that come in from the paid search. And I get this call from him one day, and he was like, I need you to listen to that call that just came in. So, okay, I listened to the call, and it's this young woman that was, she was looking for like a computer or a laptop rental. And he was like, well, we really don't have laptops. He's like, but I have an iPad I can rent you. And she's like, you have iPads that you can rent? And she got all excited. So he was like, I think there's something to this. And he actually became one of the very first iPad rental companies where he would do like special events and everything else. And he was scrambling around, and he ended up, with like 300-400 iPads that he would go and he would rent out. And we did the marketing from that from like day one. So it was like something that he happened into, much like the Trivial Pursuit thing. But his story is consistent, like where these, like you put yourself in the right situation, opportunity and, preparation intersect, right? So he, that's probably one of my favorite stories of as far as like how he grew this business from, it was one thing and he just pivoted really quickly. So, and we got the marketing and everything else on top of that.
Well, both stories are very cool, very inspiring, and it does show you how you need to learn to pivot. You are listening to Tower Talk Business Radio on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm Ray Schwetz, along with Denisha Boston Hill, and our guest today is Jim LaSalle. He's the owner of J Lasalle Consulting and jlasalle.com. Now, Jim, just like the clients we talked about, you yourself also have kind of an innovative idea that might or might not have stemmed from the work that you're doing on a regular basis, but you've pivoted, and I think it's something that really shows a lot of promise. I think it's something that's really needed. I have daughters, and I worry about them when they're out, having a good time with their friends, and I'm not around to protect them. And so it's this wonderful app that you have developed. I'd like you to talk a little bit about that app and what it's all about, how it works, and how it's going to really be something that, as a parent, and also as someone who's just out having fun, it's very important to have that.
Yeah, I have a couple of people that I know that are bar owners, and they came to me with this idea. It didn't start off being what it ended up being, but they had this idea about an angel shot, which is, it's not a drink. It's a code that someone in distress or someone who's having a problem would give to a bartender, and then the bartender knows that they need help. That was the idea that they came to me with, and I liked the idea. It was very simple. So instead of me just billing them for the development of the app, I said, hey, why don't we partner up on this? I wouldn't mind owning some of this. And that's how I kind of got involved in ownership of this. So when someone orders this angel shot, it means that the individual is in some kind of distress, right? We talked about that. So what we did was, and that can range from mild harassment to much, much worse, right?
Yeah.
Someone could have something slipped into their drink. Someone could be whatever. So we developed this app that makes the angel shot universal. And there are two sides to it. So any bar, restaurant, anybody that's really serving alcohol has the bar staff side of the app that they can have on their POS system, that they can then add their bartenders or security staff to that, and then when they're working, they can just have that active on their phone. And then users download the Angel Shot app. They put in their personal information. They can put in as many emergency contacts as they want. So you want your mom, you want your dad, you want a couple of friends, whatever. They can all be listed as the emergency contact. And if in the event something happens, they have the option of either just sending a quick alert to the bartender or the security staff, or they can make it a universal alert like, here I am, here's the problem, and that goes out to all of their emergency contacts. And the Angel Shot itself can be ordered in 4 different ways. It can be like, I need mild assistance. It could be, I need an escort to my car. You also put your car information into there as well. It could mean call the police. It could also mean call me a cab. So there are 4 different ways to get it, and we kind of were clever with ordering on the rocks or neat or with lime, so that you can differentiate which way you would order it. So that's what the shop is, and the app is, and we're marketing it as the app that everybody should really have and hope to never use.
Right. Well, I think to me that is just phenomenal, and that's a perfect example of innovative thinking and a partnership. And obviously that's what you have with this client of yours, that you would speak with them and come up with such a wonderful idea and something so necessary. Honestly, as a parent, I didn't even have an idea that this thing called the Angel Shot existed, and to make a app around it and to make it easy and effective, kudos to you and your team for working on that. So I just think that's incredible. And again, as a dad, it's something that...
Yeah, I have a daughter. She's 16. She's going to be coming of age and going out and, just having that where she can hit the emergency alert. And it's not like you're making a big deal. It's very discreet. It looks like you're sending a text. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to worry about, raising a flag or this person said, whatever.
Well, and it's something that you're doing while you're in public. Mm-hmm. So, it's, to me, that, again, it's just... I have to say thank you from the point of view of a dad who worries about their kids. And it's important to have those discussions with your children as well. As you're developing the app and going through that process, what are some of the things that you're seeing from the business standpoint of developing that app and how that works?
Well, from the business standpoint, we're not so much worried about the monetization of the app. We want to drive usership of it, and it's going to be free for the people that are looking to download it. It's free for the bar app side. What we are looking to do is partner with the point of sale systems where they can put apps on their POS displays where the business owner can, link up their Google business page listing with the app. That goes there, and then they just assign their bartenders to it. We're also going to look to some of the spirit companies for sponsorships and hopefully partnering with them and utilizing some of their drinking responsibly budget, when they have, don't drink and drive and this, but, kind of promoting the Angel Shot app, safety first. And, just kind of working with the people in that industry that are constantly going to be in front of the bar owners and the bar staff, whether it's the alcohol and wine distributors, and maybe getting some swag in their hands or co-branded swag from some of the spirit companies or beer distributors, even local ones in different markets, where they can do something simple like make coasters with their brand on one side and the Angel Shot app and a little bit of information on it and a QR code on the other. So it's just a matter of getting that out now that we have the app released and ready to go.
Now, for someone listening, which partnerships are you most looking for? You've mentioned a couple. And I can think of a few off the top of my head, such as, colleges, schools, even honestly, not that you need to worry about it in middle school, but certainly high school, colleges, they need to spread the word on this type of resource being available to them. Any other partnerships you can think of so that if someone listening, they know to reach out to you about this?
Oh, okay.
Give us your wish list.
So I would say colleges are great. Mm-hmm. I would say even education on the high school level, but getting in front of parents who know that their children may be out and about, people who make fake IDs. Hey, download the Angel Shot app too. If you're going to sneak into bars, you might as well be safe. But the colleges, universities, bartenders, bartending schools.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
I just thought of that one now.
Yeah.
The bartending schools where they're learning to do it, bar owners, trade associations related to alcohol and spirit companies, or, just put your brand in a position where you're going to be helpful. And I can't see too many bar owners, once they become aware of this, saying, no, we don't want this in our place, right? It doesn't cost you anything, and it's just there for safety. And then you can hang in either the ladies' bathroom. Hey, we are Angel Shot friendly, and the QR code to the app, connect to us, check in, and then you're linked to our thing. So it's really going to be about education early on and making sure, because it's just like you didn't know what an Angel Shot was. I had heard of it, but I really didn't think about it when Steve and Arnold came to me. They were like, hey, here's what it is. And then my brain started going with it, and I was just like, oh, well, we can scale this. That's the business side of me, right? Like, scale, how can we do this instead of like a one-off? So that's kind of where it went to. But it's really going to be about education and pushing the message out.
Well, like I said, I think it's something very important. I'm glad that it's a resource that's available, and I would encourage folks to utilize that to keep their loved ones safe. And I think, again, kudos to you and your team for doing that work.
You can go into the Android store, the Apple iTunes store, or if you want to just get a quick link, you can go to our website, angelshotapp.com.
Excellent. Now, obviously, we're moving into the future. You're working on apps, and there's all kinds of trends in marketing now. I feel like it evolves in a way that is very hard to keep up with. Mm-hmm. What are some of the trends that you're seeing and the future of marketing?
Okay. Well, we're coming up to a time of change, right? It's been evolving with technology. And if you go back to the Industrial Revolution and how the machines took away or forced the adoption or really lost a lot of blue-collar jobs back with the Industrial Revolution.
Sure.
Now you have AI, you have machine learning, you have all of this technology, and that's probably going to affect more of the white-collar workers, right? So staying on top of that technology and being able to utilize it and be a user of it and understand it is really going to be important going forward.
You are listening to Tara Talk Business Radio. Our guest today is Jim LaSalle. He's the owner of J Lasalle Consulting and JLasalle.com. My name is Ray Schwetz. I'm the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. Now, where do you feel that in marketing the most opportunities and the most excitement lies?
The exciting things, I think you're going to see a pivot from more apps being developed. I think you're going to see the world move away from websites and more into apps. Quite honestly, it's just easier on your phone. You don't have to go and you search for it, and you save a couple of steps, right? So if you have something that you're going to be using, but apps with real utility. So being able to be ahead of that curve, I'm happy that my team is able to develop the apps and that we've kind of worked to get there. But I think that's really where it's going to go. That, the AI that I mentioned before, as well as any kind of scalable machine learning or tools that you can bring into your company in order to reduce headcount, I guess, is really get things done with fewer people is really. And you're also going to see a lot of individual specialization where instead of having, let's say, for example, a finance team, you might have a company that you outsource all of those functions to, and then those will be the specialists where they'll kind of go in there. Just like people would outsource their marketing stuff to me instead of having a team internally, you're still going to be paying for the advertising and the media, and you're going to pay a fraction of what you would pay full-time staff and not have to worry about, medical benefits and 401ks and everything else. That would be my responsibility for my team, right? So I think you're going to see a lot of that going forward.
Yeah, it's definitely changing so many different aspects of business. It changes the aspects of marketing. It changes the aspects of employment. What is next for you and your team in particular?
Well, in addition to launching the Angel Shot app and certainly the new clients that we've onboarded of late, running my digital marketing company, Keen Insights, I'm working on completing another writing project focused on helping individuals achieve their own personal excellence, whatever that may be for them. That's the next book.
So Kaizen on a personal level.
Right. So if unified marketing strategy is more for businesses, this one will be more for individuals. It kind of stemmed from some of my friends asking me, like, where do you get the time to do all this stuff? I play golf a couple times a week and, in season. And they're like, where do you do this? Do you sleep? I'm like, I just, organized. I make a list. I try to minimize my nonsense time.
Yep. And I think that is sage advice. It's very tough to realize you need to focus on the activities that are actually giving you something.
Productive, yes.
And not getting lost in, and you mentioned this earlier on, some businesses, they feel like if they're busy, well, then things are good. Well, maybe you're not busy. Maybe you need to cut down on some of those activities that are really just spinning your wheels, or things that you could hand off to someone else to be more effective. And I think harnessing the technology, like you said, that really is key in making those things happen. So for the business owner that's listening, I would say that that's certainly key takeaways. What is like the one key takeaway you want to make sure that people get? Well, actually, we can give you two, because let's talk about from the marketing standpoint, what's the one takeaway you want people to get? And then, of course, let's go back to the app and repeat some of the information on that so the listener can get that information.
From a marketing and just general business thing, always look to get better. You know, figure out, don't be complacent with your business. Don't, because if you're not growing, you're dying, right? So you want to focus on bringing in new customers. You always want to see how you can get things done through other people and focus on the things that you yourself, one, are good at and enjoy doing, and then you either hire or outsource people for the things that aren't as productive as you would want to be, I guess, or interesting to you.
To me, it's ABL so that you ABC. Always be learning so that you always be close.
That's good, ABL for ABC.
And let's talk back about the app. Again, how can people find the app? Where can they get it?
They can get the app in the Apple iTunes Store, as well as the Android Google Play Store, or they can just go to our website, angelshotapp.com, and there are links there for both the Bar Staff app and the individual app.
So make sure that you go and visit those areas. And what's the best way for you to be contacted from a marketing standpoint for businesses that are looking to get the best marketing advice?
Okay, you can find me on LinkedIn under Jimmy LaSalle, or you can go through the Keen Insights website. So that's Keen, KEENINSITES.com. We spell it that way on purpose. We know it's incorrect, but, Keen Insights, it was a little play on words. Or you can go to jlasalle.com, jimmylasalle.com, or even ushistoryrepeated.com, the podcast I do with my sister. A little shout out to my sister, Jean-Ann.
Yes. And the podcast is also on various platforms?
Yeah, anywhere you listen to podcasts. We get a lot of our listens on Spotify and iTunes for sure, but it's anywhere you listen to. You can tell Alexa to play U.S. History Repeated, and Alexa will do it too.
Just like you can do for WHPC, Long Island's Best Radio. So there we go. Jim, I'm very excited to have you on. Again, best of luck with the app. I think the app is just amazing. It's something that's very necessary, and it's wonderful to see that kind of innovation come out of the partnerships that you have with businesses and the marketing that you're doing. So it's obviously very effective and a testament to your work, and we look forward to hearing from you on the podcast and everything that you do. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'd love to come back again another time.
Yep, and we'll definitely make that happen. That would be great. So I'd like to leave you with what we call DB's philosophy. The value of an idea lies in the using of it, and that is Thomas Edison. We want to thank you for being with us. My name is Ray Schwetz, along with Denisha Boston Hill, your co-host and producers. Visit nccradio.org for more information. We're available on Odyssey, TuneIn, iHeartRadio as a podcast on iTunes, Android Podcasts, and Spreaker. This has been Tower Talk Business Radio on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.